Welcome to Mr. Joe's exclusive stories, where real-life moments turn into powerful lessons that stay with you long after they end. If stories of resilience, love, and unexpected triumph inspire you, hit like, share with someone who needs this today, and subscribe so you never miss another unforgettable journey. Let's begin. Sometimes, life has a way of pulling back the curtain on people, revealing exactly who they are when you least expect it. That night, when the rain fell in steady, cold sheets, it revealed everything Alessandra "Ally" Bennett had refused to see. She stood on the lowest step of her husband's palatial mansion, a single leather suitcase gripped tightly in her hand. Its weight wasn't much. He hadn't allowed her to take more than what it could carry. The clothes in her closet, the jewelry in velvet boxes, the little trinkets she had collected over the years, all of it would stay behind, as if she had no right to them. And maybe, in his mind, she didn't. Daniel Hastings stood above her on the balcony, tall, broad-shouldered, and perfectly poised, framed by the soft amber glow of the mansion's grand chandelier. His tailored suit didn't have a single crease. His expression didn't betray even a flicker of hesitation. The rain hadn't touched him, sheltered as he was beneath the wide awning of his empire. "Get out, Ally," he said, voice low, measured, and deliberately cruel. "You came into my life with nothing, and you'll leave with nothing." His words carried down like a verdict, slicing through the sound of rainfall and thunder. They echoed off the marble pillars and manicured hedges, bouncing around the courtyard that she had once thought was theirs. Ally's fingers tightened around the suitcase handle. Her breath caught, not because she was shocked, but because the man she had once trusted with her heart could speak to her as though she were an unwanted stranger. She could have screamed. She could have told him everything. About the fortune he had never bothered to ask about, the empire he couldn't comprehend even if she explained it. She could have laughed at the arrogance dripping from his tone, but she didn't. Instead, she smiled, a small, almost imperceptible curl of her lips, and turned toward the gates. Daniel didn't stop her. He didn't call after her. He didn't care enough to wonder where she would go, because in his mind, she had nowhere. He believed he had all the power. He believed she needed him. He was wrong. Before Daniel, Ally had built a life, no, an empire. She was the kind of woman who thrived on challenge, who could spot opportunities others overlooked. By the age of 22, she had founded her first software security company, growing it from a modest startup into one of the most formidable tech conglomerates in America. When she sold it for millions, she didn't retire or slow down. She reinvested, quietly building a network of companies under an alias that shielded her from public scrutiny. She had wealth, yes, but more than that, she had independence. She never wanted the kind of life where people treated her differently because of her bank balance. Money, in her experience, could warp relationships, turn kindness into calculation, and distort love into leverage. So when she met Daniel Hastings, she kept that part of herself tucked away. Daniel was a charming real estate mogul, handsome, driven, and warm, or so it seemed. He smiled easily, listened intently, and had a way of making her feel seen in a world where so many men saw only her beauty. When he asked her what she did for a living, she gave a modest answer about working in IT consulting. He never pressed further, never wondered why she could take spontaneous vacations or wear luxury without blinking. Perhaps he thought she had family money, or perhaps he simply didn't care. For a time, Ally allowed herself to believe she had found someone who loved her for her. Their courtship was romantic, their wedding spectacular yet intimate. The first year was everything she had hoped for. Laughter over late dinners, whispered conversations before sleep, plans for the future. But slowly, cracks began to show. Daniel worked longer hours and stopped telling her where he was going. His warm gestures became mechanical. He stopped looking at her with tenderness and started looking at her as if she were a fixture, like the chandeliers or the paintings he collected. She told herself it was stress, maybe a difficult project or tension in the market. Yet one evening, as she passed by his study, she overheard him on the phone. "She's nothing without me," he said, voice cool, dismissive. "She needs me. She wouldn't last a month on her own." The words rooted her to the floor, cutting deeper than any insult he had ever thrown. For the first time, she saw the truth. Daniel didn't love her. He loved the idea of owning her, of being the pillar on which her life rested. From that day on, she stopped trying to fix things. She simply watched, quietly cataloging the moments that confirmed her realization. The night he kicked her out, there was no screaming, no messy argument, no tears shed on either side. Just cold, calculated cruelty. He told her to pack and leave before morning. Leave. Tonight. This is my house. You don't belong here anymore. He looked at her as though she were an inconvenience, something to be removed. So she let him believe he had won. She walked out into the storm with one suitcase and no resistance. By sunrise, Ally was not homeless, as Daniel had imagined, but thousands of feet in the air aboard her private jet. From her plush seat, she gazed out at the clouds while her assistant, Rachel, reviewed documents for an acquisition worth billions. "Ma'am," Rachel said, "the papers are ready for signature." Ally smiled faintly as she signed. The company they had acquired supplied over half the raw materials Daniel's real estate ventures depended on. One signature had shifted the balance of power in ways Daniel would feel soon enough. In her penthouse in Manhattan, 3 times larger than Daniel's prized mansion, Ally poured herself into work and life. She wasn't angry, not anymore. She was free. She reconnected with friends she had neglected, traveled, and returned to what had always fulfilled her, building things of value. Within weeks, whispers about a mysterious businesswoman began to circulate in financial circles. Headlines speculated about the ghost billionaire who had acquired 2 companies in record time. Ally laughed at the nickname, but never corrected it. She had no desire to step into the spotlight. She had always preferred to let her work speak for itself. Meanwhile, Daniel's empire began to crack. Deals that had seemed solid slipped through his fingers. Investors he had counted on suddenly pulled out. Projects stalled as materials became scarce or costs skyrocketed. He didn't know why, and he certainly didn't know who quietly controlled those lifelines. It wasn't revenge that motivated Ally. She wasn't orchestrating his failure out of spite. She was simply protecting her assets and ensuring her companies were insulated from his reckless practices. If those choices happened to cause his empire to stumble, that was simply consequence, not intent. Weeks later, there was a knock at her door. Ally opened it to find Daniel standing there, drenched from the rain, looking nothing like the proud man who had once exiled her from his life. His posture sagged, his eyes hollow. There was no arrogance now, only desperation. "Please," he whispered, "I made a mistake. I need you." For a moment, Ally simply looked at him, studying the face she had once thought she would grow old with. There was a time she would have done anything to hear those words, but not now. Now, they felt hollow, an echo of something long gone. Her mind flashed back to the rain, the balcony, the suitcase. She stepped outside, not to let him in, but to close the door behind her. "Daniel," she said softly, "you kicked me out of your mansion thinking I had nothing. But I had everything before you, and I still do." He stared at her, mouth slightly open, no words coming out. She walked past him and slid into the waiting limousine. As the car pulled away, Ally glanced out the window and saw him standing there, a figure washed in rain, shrinking in the distance. She didn't feel triumphant, didn't feel cruel. She simply felt free. Life had revealed Daniel to her in a single, pivotal moment. And now, she finally understood what true freedom felt like, thriving without the weight of someone who never truly valued her. Sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't anger, it's success. Sometimes, the best response isn't words, it's silence. And sometimes, losing you is the best thing they ever did for you. Thank you for watching this journey of strength and rediscovery. If this story touched you or made you see life differently, share it with someone who needs to hear it. What would you have done if you were in her shoes? Have you ever had to walk away from someone who didn't see your worth? Tell us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful, life-changing stories right here on Mr. Joe's exclusive stories. Until next time, remember, sometimes the best ending is finding yourself.